Hello everyone, this is Joey again with a little video for two reasons. First, to celebrate our 50th subscriber, which is nice. It's really nice that we have 50 now. I know that doesn't seem like a lot, but we've come a long way, considering everyone starts at 0. And also to kind of celebrate the kind of release of mine-imator 1.0.0. I know it hasn't officially come out yet. Maybe it has by the time I release this video, but I know it hasn't officially come out yet, but I'm excited because of the demos that he's been releasing. I know there hasn't been a lot of stuff added, and I'm gonna have a lot of trouble animating with them until undo is added, because I really need the undo button. That's in animating, it's kind of overlooked, but really it's probably the most important thing for me. So to celebrate that, I'm going to do this video. And in this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about the background story to Players vs. NPCs and just really how it came to be. And then I'm going to talk about some things that you may not have noticed about it, or some interesting things about it, or some interesting things I added about it. So let's just start at where I got the idea of Players vs. NPCs. So back in April of 2013, I can't believe it was a year ago. It was more than a year ago. I was on a plane ride to a wedding in California. And I couldn't sleep on the plane, so I just decided, I had my laptop there, so I decided to start animating. I got to the point where Players vs. NPCs preview ended, but I couldn't really figure out where I was going with it. So when I landed and got to the hotel, I just decided to post it and call it Players vs. NPCs preview. Really just a kind of a generic name I just came up with the top of my head. I didn't know that really Players vs. NPCs was going to become as big as I had thought it would, as I had initially thought. I just initially thought I was going to make a little animation. So after the trip, I knew I needed to figure out where I was going with that animation, get a little story going. So I started writing a draft of the story. And you may be surprised at how different it was from the final story. In the first draft of Players vs. NPCs, the waiter Trent fought at the bar didn't die at all. Instead, Trent won the fight, but didn't kill him, and the waiter then came back for revenge by creating a giant iron golem, which me and Trent would have fought in. That didn't initially work out, because in reality I decided that they needed a more reason to be a Players vs. NPCs and why that had happened. So after a few revisions, I decided that the waiter NPC had to die for, the purposes of the story, for the NPCs, why they would be so mad at us. So in the second draft, the waiter's brother came back, like he does in the actual animation, but the brother just came back and he was the one to build the giant iron golem. That's when I decided to drop the Iron Golem concept, because it was just a bit too ridiculous. And so I decided on something different. The waiter's brother, that one, would attack Trent and Joey's village, like in the original. But he would not lose any body parts and simply just get defeated. After a little while, he would come back with an army of regular-sized Iron Golems, two of which Joey and Trent would have to fight again. That is when I decided to get rid of the whole Iron Golem idea and focus more on the reason for this NPC to hate us. So I decided to have Trent cut off his arm. So in my next write-up, basically everything that happened in the first part was the same. I didn't know that it would be in separate parts, but everything that happened in the first part is the same. But in the next parts of the animation, the NPC survives and goes to a witch, who happens to be his grandmother, and she gives him a potion that restores his limb. Then both he and his grandmother attack the tribe again, and there will be this battle. Between me, Trent, the witch, and the NPC. I eventually decided that this was a bit too ridiculous, but I still made a reference to it when the NPC gave the potion to Seth, claiming it as one of his grandmother's famous drinks. That's when I decided that this was being a bit unfair to the NPCs, considering that Trent and Joey had started this mess. So I started to make the focus of the middle of Players vs. NPCs to be basically Joey lamenting the mistake that he had made, and trying and doing whatever he can to make it right. So basically, that's when I got all the way up to the final version of what became episode 2. But then, of course, I still had episode 3, but of course it was just one big animation at the time. I didn't know how long it was going to be. It wasn't nearly as long. It was much longer than I anticipated. So near the end of when I was writing, I decided to include Lance the Little, who was a planned character for the Quaventures in Earthland, and I decided it was a good idea to put him in to add a little extra development to his character. So when I was writing that, right before I got to the part about the village, I was like, you know what, let's include Lance the Little in here. I knew from the beginning that the attacking NPC had to die, and in the original write-up, it wasn't Lance the Little that killed him, it was Joey who killed him, after the NPC tried to kill Trent. I decided that wouldn't work because it really went against all that Joey talked about in the episodes. So then, I wrote it up so that Trent killed him. But that still seemed a little bit cruel because Trent seemed to be turning around on the whole idea and seeing the NPCs as actual people. So, I eventually decided on Lance the Little killing him. Originally, when I first included Lance the Little, he was going to immediately head back after he got the message from Earthland Evil Man. But I decided that Lance the Little doing it was what really made the most sense, him being an actual villain and all. It was a good chance to develop his stable yet unpredictable personality, with him killing the NPCs, but sparing Trent and Joey. And even giving Trent some advice at the end. And so, that's basically how it turned out. There were a couple changes that, a couple of them I'm going to talk about in a little bit. But now I'm going to talk about some interesting facts about players versus NPCs, and some things you don't know about the characters. First, let me start with this image. It's the title image. But did you know that I made it like this? Weird, huh? I realized that it would be better if the players were on the side that had the word players, and vice versa for the NPCs. So as a result of that, a few of the characters were not using their dominant hands to hold their weapons. Speaking of hands, did you notice that I accidentally put an iron sword instead of a golden sword for Lance the Little in this one scene? And did you notice that the only character, that Lance the Little is the only character who is left-handed? And while we're on the topic of Lance the Little, it's interesting to note that the conversation he had at the end with Trent had dialogue directly inspired by the comments of Gamers United 4432, who was very critical about how it was really our fault, and that we made the NPCs look bad, despite really me and Trent being to blame. And so that's the reason why Lance the Little talks about that to Trent. Several players several characters in Players vs. NPCs had already existed in the Quaventures and Earthland universe before I even started writing Players vs. NPCs. These include Trent and Joey, of course, but also Earthland Evil Man, Lance the Little, Timmy the Courageous, Goofy the Fortune Teller, and Matt. But Matt was interesting because we had not come up with a name for him yet. We just knew that he was going to be a character. He was going to be another friend of Trent's who was going to have somewhat of an impact on the Quaventures and Earthland story. So I decided to name him Matt after one of my friends in real life, making him the third character in the Earthland to be named after someone in real life. The first being Trent and Joey, named after me and Trent. And to answer the question, yes, Matt will be played by Matt. Moving on. Did you know that the Quaventures and Earthland theme, the one that goes like this, was originally just Joey's theme, which really was originally throughout episode 1, his theme throughout episode 1, because it shows when he's examining Seth and when he takes out the executioner. But I decided that it sounded more like a main theme than a single character's theme. So I decided to see how it played with the title in part 2. And I thought it worked out really well. So it really just became the main theme, playing again at the beginning of episode 3, and during the final battle at a certain part with Trent. As long as we're on the topic of songs, the song that I originally planned on playing during the credits was not the one that I actually played during the credits. It was a different one until I found the one that I actually used in the credits by accident. As soon as I heard the song, you know, the one that's alternative rock, it's the one that goes like this. As soon as I had heard that, I imagined how it ended with the camera going up, and as Trent and Joey walked away, going up into the moon. I immediately imagined that, and I felt like it was the perfect way to end it. So yeah, and the song that I originally had for the credits ended up being played at the beginning of episode 2, which is the one that goes like this. Okay, on to the next topic. Did you notice that Trent and Joey had 2 different fighting styles? Really, I'm serious. I didn't just make, like, random sword swings when I was animating. Well, sometimes I did. But, they do have a unique way of fighting. Trent has a style that focuses on defense and agility. You may have noticed that he blocks a lot more than Joey does. He has a lot of leg strength and balance, allowing him to do flips through the air to avoid attacks. His downside is that he doesn't deliver an incredibly powerful blow, so he has trouble, as you can see, every time he gets caught in a sword lock. But that usually isn't a problem, because the sword he uses is incredibly sharp. Unless he is going against an opponent like Lancelot, who is faster and stronger than him. Now, Joey's fighting style, on the other hand, focuses on offense and precision. He attacks a lot more than Trent, if you notice, and has a lot of upper body strength from wielding his axe, which weighs a lot more than Trent's sword. This is how, his upper body strength, this is how he's able to punch people so far, such as when he punches the NPC in episode 1. His precision comes from using a bow for so long, and having only one eye, because he doesn't have to take time to, close one eye in aiming. The downfall is that he doesn't have a lot of lower body strength, so while he is stronger than Trent, Trent is much faster than him. This explains why Joey can easily climb up cliffs, yet struggles to outrun opponents several times. Next piece of information. Did you realize that the only time that I used hostile mobs in the entire players vs NPCs was at the very end, when Trent and the NPC were hanging off that cliff? Speaking of that NPC, I never actually gave him a name. Whenever he spoke, I just put NPC. I've never been super good with names. I kind of have to think about them, and I just didn't really feel like giving him a name. It was kind of lazy on my part. So every time he spoke, he was just NPC, and all the other NPCs were just an NPC with a number. So, you know. Now let's talk about the nation that Trent and Joey live in. They live in Thearthland, which makes up the entirety of the known world in the Quaventures and Thearthland universe. Here's a map of Thearthland. The area that Trent and Joey live in is in the north and is called the Other Tribe, which is one of the 5 major tribes of Thearthland. Thearthland is divided into 6 sections. All of the 5 tribes, which includes Trent and Joey's tribe, which is the Other Tribe, and the 6th section is Thearthland Evilman's castle, and including the area around it. The first section, which is the one Trent and Joey live in, is the Other Territory, and Trent and Joey live in the Other Tribe, which is the Other Territory's central city. The Other Territory also includes the Twin Ice Bars, the Forest of Sephinol, and the Great Bay of Thearthland. The Ither Territory consists of its tribe, the Ither Tribe, which happens to be the NPC village that the final battle of players versus NPCs took place. This area also includes Frostlands of Fossifer, Lake Fossiater, and part of the Southern Sea. The next area, the Sither Territory, consists of its tribe, the Sither Tribe, Northern and Southern Trossophet, and the Ice Bar. The next territory, the Aether territory, consists of its central tribe, the Aether tribe, well known also as the Desert tribe because it's located in the desert, and this happens to be where Joey was born and raised. But this area also contains the Lake of All Seasons, the Woods of Maladon, and the Western Swamp. The Aether territory, which consists again of its central city, the Aether tribe, which is built on and in a mountain, the Forest Without End, and the village of Bosneron. And finally, the area of Earthland Evilman's Castle is the sixth territory, and it consists of the capital, which is the forest that surrounds Earthland Evilman's Castle, and of course his castle, and most of the Southern Sea, also the Isle of Notolid. So yeah, that's the map. And finally, I want to talk about one last fact about players versus NPCs. Now, this is kind of an embarrassing fact, but I cried when I finished it. It wasn't a sad cry. It was just a happy cry. It's just when you put so much work into a project and you just enjoy doing it so much, and in the end when you just get to see it pay off, it's just a really satisfying feeling that it brought me to tears. What really did it was when I had just finished editing it and put everything in the video editor, and when I saw the screen rose to the moon with the credits music playing, that's when I really felt it, because Players vs. NPCs had become all that I had imagined it to be. Well, I hope you liked this video. Please feel free to like and subscribe, as well as comment and, do whatever you want to do. We do this for you guys, and I appreciate every subscriber, every view, every comment that we get. It just makes me feel happy that we're entertaining people with our videos, and that I can make people happy with my animations. Me and Trent started this channel with the mindset that as long as our videos make one person happy, they're worth making. And all these subscribers, I know it seems like such a small number, but I'm glad people get to enjoy our videos. Well, that's all I have to say. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope everyone has a great day. Bye.